Hello and welcome back to the Homeschool Library, coming to you from right here in the Little Green Schoolhouse. As always, I'm Brad, glad to have you aboard. So in this episode, we are doing a review of number 2 in the 50 by 50 reading list that I have compiled. That is the 50 books that I plan to have read by the time I turn 50. That happens in September of 2030. So I've got about 4.5 years. It's a pretty ambitious reading list. I think it's also a doable reading list. So please follow along on this journey if you're interested. If you are interested in the complete list, check out the video I'll post down below. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to put all these in a playlist. Starting with the complete list. I've also reviewed the first one that I did was House of the Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne, which I did very much enjoy. So check out that review. Check out the full list if you're interested. So book 2 now is this one right here. Truman Capote's Breakfast at Tiffany's. Originally, this one wasn't going to be on the 50 by 50 list, but I did have In Cold Blood, also by Truman Capote, which I think most people would agree is his magnum opus, his major work, the one that everyone knows him for. I had never read In Cold Blood, so I wanted to get in a little. I've never read anything by Truman Capote, to be perfectly honest. So I wanted to slide in and get something of his earlier work, something that I'd kind of get a feel for Capote before diving into In Cold Blood. And I thought this would be an interesting way of doing that. Honestly, I didn't know until I was an adult that Breakfast at Tiffany's was a Capote. I keep saying that. Capote. Truman Capote book. I'd only ever seen the movie a couple of times, you know, the Audrey Hepburn flick, the romantic comedy from, 1961, 62, something like that. It's an enjoyable movie, very cute. Not my favorite, but yeah, it's fun for what it is, what it was. And I thought, okay, if that's such a great, fun classic, I can only imagine that the book that it was based on would be at least enjoyable. Boy, was I wrong. This is going to be one of those reviews where I have to separate what I consider to be a quality piece of writing with how much I hated the final product. Okay, this is not a review of Truman Capote, who I don't think that I would have enjoyed his company very much. But yeah, we're separating the art from the author here, or art from the artist, however you want to say it. If you want to read a book full of characters with no redeeming qualities whatsoever, if you want to read a book that has zero character development, start to finish, in which every single character in that book seems to thrive on their ability to and go out of their way to annoy and irritate everyone around them, everyone that they come into contact with. The people in the book don't like each other. They use each other for their own personal benefit. They are selfish. They are self-absorbed, completely oblivious to the issues of the larger world around them. And by the end of the book, they haven't changed. They have learned nothing. They are the same people that they started out with, if not worse. These are abysmal, irritating, annoying, terrible, irredeemable people in this novel. I hated every single one of them. Maybe that was the point. I don't know. Maybe Truman Capote is trying to tell us how he views the rest of the human race. That's entirely possible. I'm willing to accept that. I don't know. All I know is the book sucks. I mean, it's very well written. I won't argue that point. Truman Capote is, I think, unquestionably a master of the written language. He's a good writer. So far, he's one and done for me. I'm still going to read In Cold Blood. I'm looking forward to it less. But at least in that book, it's about a murder. I expect the people in that book to be unlikable. The Audrey Hepburn movie probably tainted my expectations for this. I don't know why anyone would ever have read this book on its initial publication and think, you know what would be fun if we turned that into an adorable romantic comedy with America's sweetheart Audrey Hepburn. There is no romance in this book. There is no comedy in this book. There are only irritating, annoying, terrible, irredeemable people who are incapable of learning anything from their daily existence. If I had to come up with any kind of redeeming quality to this book, say I ever wanted to use this book as an object lesson in a reading assignment for a student, one of my kids, I would ask them, you know, what should these people have learned from their actions as they're going through? How would a normal human being, and you know what, maybe these are normal human beings. Maybe they are. At least maybe they were normal human beings to Truman Capote. They're not how normal human beings should be. I'll say that. What kind of lessons should they have learned from their actions throughout the novel? If I had to give it any praise at all, and I'll say this, at the very least, none of the characters were rewarded in any way for their self-centeredness. At no point did any of their actions lead them on to any kind of better life, to better reward. You know, I said they didn't learn anything. That's outside the point. Nowhere in the book did they come out ahead because of the choices that they were making. In fact, quite the opposite. Our main character, Holly Golightly, is actually in far worse shape than when we are first introduced to her at the beginning of the book. And her ending is left ambiguous, which I think is probably as it should be. She just kind of fades into obscurity as yet another terrible person that no one wants to be around. If you enjoyed the movie, and good on you. It's a fun movie. It's a cute romantic flick. This is not that. So please don't equate the two at all. Not even a little bit, because they're very different products. I'm curious, have you ever read Breakfast at Tiffany's? What did you think? Have I morbidly inspired you in some weird, curious way that you now want to read Breakfast at Tiffany's? I'd be curious to know what you think after that. Have I completely steered you away from Breakfast at Tiffany's? Don't let me do that. Make your own decisions. Read the books that you want to read. Better yet, just go watch the movie and have a good day. We'll see. I'm still looking forward to In Cold Blood. I don't know when I'll get to that one, but stay tuned as we go through this 50 by 50 rating list. And hey, like I always say, like, subscribe, start the conversation, drop a comment down below. I'd love to know your thoughts on anything that I talked about today. We'll see you next time with the next video. Brad out. Bye.